So, in this video, I want to talk about internal family systems therapy and how beautiful, how amazing it is to understand your inner world. So, for me, I've noticed that my main priority is to understand myself and to help others understand themselves because it has been my trip in life to really know what it is that I want because I've always been so demanding on what I should be and what I should look like, and that I am not enough, and what I can provide isn't enough. Like there's always something better. And the way that really took place wasn't about like envying others, like, oh, I wish I had what they have. But it's like, how can they know so much what they are, who they are? And it's like, I need to follow their steps to success so I can succeed and I can really feel at peace in myself. And until then, I cannot rest. So it was always about really learning so much, about studying so much, about working so much, about just trying to meet other people's expectations in my own head. So I would try to follow the expectations other people had about me, but it was just my idea of what they had because we never really know. Everybody has their own shit and everybody goes through their own processes. And I always felt like I was not good enough for others. And that's a really scary thought because it it drove me to do a lot. I can remember when I was in high school, I used to wake up so early. I used to wake up at 4 in the morning to either bake to sell or to learn or to, just find things that I could do with my time. And it was always, I needed to be busy. And I did this and it did make me feel good, but it never made me feel fulfilled. And so it really was just to understand what it is, why it is that I do what I do. Like, what are my motives really? Because if my motives are to impress other imaginary people, am I ever going to be satisfied? And so then really when I came across internal family systems, this is when I was really struggling with my eating issues. And it's internal family systems came from the Dr. Richard Schwartz, who was a psychiatrist and who is a psychiatrist, and he was working with the girls with eating disorders, and he noticed he was a family therapist. So he noticed that no matter how much he changed the external family system, the person would still deal with their disorders because they couldn't separate from their internal family. And already these parts have introjected what these family members thought about them or expressed about them. And it's not just about the family, but about everything that we introject from the outside in. And that could be any sort of beliefs that we take in from our culture, maybe from our legacy, from even we can re-traumatize ourselves. Like these parts inside of us, they re-traumatize ourselves, but they all have motives. So what I've learned about this system and this modality of psychotherapy is that each part has a purpose. So even all the parts that we think are against us, the parts that drive us to do shit that we really cannot stand, or to people please, or to like have addictive behaviors, all of these parts have a very important role in our system. We take them out of our system and everything gets into chaos. And this is what usually happens because they're all in battle inside of us. So just like there are polarities between people, there are polarities inside our own system. So the part that like really wants to please this person, but the other part that's like, fuck this person, I don't want to please them, fuck them, like it's just like we can have the manager that's really driving to be socially accepted, and the firefighter that's the one that's like really fighting against feeling this shame or this victimization, and beneath those two protectors, which are the manager and the firefighter, is usually an exile, which is usually younger parts of ourselves that were forced to be exiled because they really overwhelmed the system. And these parts usually feel a lot of shame, a lot of just abandonment, a lot of these feelings that little children feel. So we cannot say that we left our child self in the past. They still live inside of us. So just notice the times when you feel extreme shame or abandonment, and then maybe it drives you to do something that you're really not feeling okay with doing this behavior, because it can turn people against you, or it can make yourself feel feelings that you really don't appreciate. And it's not about exiling these parts, but it's about listening to them. And internal family systems is one of the most amazing ways to really listen to our inner system. So the therapist guides the person into their inner system, into really observing these different parts and befriending these different parts, building a relationship with them. And the phrase that really caught my attention into adopting this modality of psychotherapy was when Richard Schwartz said, "We don't have to transcend our ego. We just need to build a relationship with it." And for me, that was really transformative, because all of these spiritual teachings are about, get rid of your ego, like this is gross, but it's not that. Our ego is what allows us to be in this planet. It's what allows us to be in our body and to have relationships. And to really get into balance with that, it means to really listen to all of these different parts that play out at different times, and to listen what message they have for us, to really be able to have harmony in our body, in our relationships, in our life. So I think it's such a beautiful way of having more self-compassion, in a way that's not, it's not exiling these parts of us, but it's about listening to them, and about really becoming a more complete, authentic person. And this can really happen without needing to share with a therapist, but about just opening up and listening to these parts within ourselves.